Hi, I'm Samyukta Vidyashankar, and today I'm with Amy Briggs, who's recently been elected as president of the GUU. Congratulations, Amy. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
My first question for you is, taking into consideration that you won uncontested, is it a reason for worry about the future of the union? Are you given that usually elections for the GUU are highly competitive, and I think this year there were only 2 contested positions, do you think perhaps students are losing interest in the GUU?
I think we've got a situation this year where normally a lot of first years, a lot of second years will have been involved in the union through stuff like debating and stuff like pressure helping. And we've probably not got as much of that this year due to the whole circumstances. So I think maybe that has something to do with it. A lot of the positions that are normally contested are PSMs, and that tends to be filled up between a lot of first and second years. With conveners, stuff like games running our pub quizzes and ENTs running our open mic nights, a lot of those haven't been able to happen. So perhaps people haven't felt like they've had enough experience to run for these convener positions. But, you know, I think one positive that we can see from this year compared to past years is a lot of 2-year PSMs. Normally we see a lot of 2-year PSMs resign after 1 year, will either run for another position or will, you know, drop out and do something else for the last year, not GUU related. But this year we've seen 4 out of 5 of our 2-year PSMs are staying on for their second year, and the other one is now asked on sec. So yeah, I think one thing that we'll definitely see coming on to this next year is increasing engagement with the first and second years to make sure we get back to that level of people really wanting to be involved in the GUU and understanding what the GUU is all about and wanting to contribute to that. But I don't think it's a massive problem this year. I think all the positions that are filled by very capable people.
Definitely, I think so too. Next question. You mentioned in your manifesto that you would like to provide a platform for clubs and societies to promote their work and engage a wider audience. I understand that Freshers Fair has been largely discontinued, obviously due to the pandemic that we're facing, and regardless of the small pieces that we see online of the fair. However, there do exist plenty of other platforms, like even Facebook and Instagram for that matter. So why would people want to download or use the platform that you invent when we already have existing social media platforms?
Yeah, no, so when the GUU first came about many years ago, it was that sort of social hub for students and very much a place for students to discuss big topics on campus and share their opinions. And that's why debates has become such a big part of the union. And I think I'd really like to bring us back to that. I think there's so much that students do. I mean, take, for example, this year, like the Green New Deal, all student ran, amazing, like the work that they've put in. I think sort of bringing that to another audience as well. A lot of societies, I feel sometimes, and we're all guilty of it, of have that echo chamber where their audience, the people they reach out to, are people who are interested in that topic. So I think through our debating platform or show debates and stuff we do like that, it would be amazing to really bring topics like these into discussion and allow more students to hear about them, more students to sort of debate them and really pick them apart. I think that would be a really good thing that we could do. Yeah, challenge these views. At Glasgow, one thing I've always loved about Glasgow is how passionate students are about bettering campus life for everyone. And like we see that on all fronts. And I think that's something we could really help. Yeah, no, they're completely capable, I think, of like presenting their own views. It's just sort of getting into that discussion, getting into like the nitty-gritty debating of those things, and yeah, and reaching a wider audience, I guess.
Definitely. You also talked about working with Assistant Honorary Secretary to ensure that the board are sufficiently trained. In what ways do you think the GUU board are undertrained, and how exactly will you implement this training?
Yeah, so I think the main place where our training really comes into practice is not necessarily relevant at the moment with the building closed, but with Hive Nights. We have duty board on, who are there to sort of look out for people who are maybe drunk and vulnerable and check on them. So I'd really like to do stuff like, obviously these are quite rare cases, but in case they come up, I'd rather we were prepared. So stuff like suicide prevention training, knowing what to do if anybody is in that sort of place, knowing where to relate them, like refer them to, sexual assault, sort of training to do with that, talking about, using the right language, really knowing how to help someone and then refer them to the appropriate services again. And also I'd really like board to go through unconscious bias training. We've had a lot of discussion over the last year about a diversity report and what the union does for diversity in general, and how we're really trying to become not just the bare minute of like stamping out racism, but really being anti-racist. And I think unconscious bias training would be something that would be really useful for us. So yeah, a lot of those things I think that would really help us on club nights, but also like across the whole board, I think that would help in a lot of aspects.
Great. Okay, and I think this is what stuck out to me the most. You mentioned in your manifesto about creating and applying a long-term sustainable plan, which will clear out the course for the union to be carbon neutral by 2025. How do you plan on accomplishing this in collaboration with the university when they've made it clear that they intend to accomplish it by 2030? I think
we obviously are a part of the uni, but we're also sort of our own entity. We have our own governance and all that. Sustainability is something that I feel so passionate about in my personal life, but also so when I joined the union, that was really something I wanted to accomplish. So I think 2025 is an ambitious goal, and I'm fully aware of that. I know this year especially, we've had a lot of financial constraints and stuff like that. I think it's always good with sustainability stuff to be ambitious, to set yourself almost a hard target, because then even if you fall short of it, you're still like within these ecological tipping points that we're being told about by scientists. Like, this is something that we hear so much about with the science, and it's so important that we really make the effort and really do something about it. So with 2025, we're a much smaller unit than the university. We're a much smaller building. The university obviously have stuff to do with like long travel, with like tutors. I think we don't necessarily have that. So I think it's more achievable for us to go carbon neutral earlier than the university. But also I think I just have this mindset that being more ambitious, setting an earlier target is better, because then even if you fall short, you're still achieving it within like a suitable time frame, and not leaving it to 2040, 2045, like not the university but other businesses are doing. Definitely.
Okay. So that's all the time we have. I had 2 more questions, but that's okay. Thank you so much for joining me and taking out the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.